What are you guys watching?
Oh, we're watching a documentary we found on Netflix about the Manson murders.
That's not what it was like in the 60s. It's not even close. That's fake news. You can't just watch movies and TV. You gotta read a book. Like a scrapbook. That's where the real news is, the real story. The 60s. I remember the 60s. Let's start from the beginning. 1960 election. JFK. Handsome man. Oh, gorgeous wife. 2 charming children. You had West Camelot in the White House.
Honey, I'm home. Honey!
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I guess my music was a little too loud. How was work?
Pretty long, but overall, pretty good day. Can you come to the couch with me? I have something I want to talk to you about. Martin Luther King wrote me this letter in jail, and I don't know what to do about it.
What does it say? Give me the gist.
He's basically describing his strategy of nonviolent resistance to racism. He's advising people to take direct action. Like, look here. MLK says that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
That's a great line.
So what do you think of the letter?
Well, I'm glad Dr. King is reaching out to you. He has a lot of good morals and intentions in that letter. I think that's the oven. Dinner's ready. Ooh, looks good. Oh, they look so good. Oopsies, sorry. I guess you can have one too.
Did you know that Jackie Robinson got inducted to the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York?
Wow, he's my favorite baseball player. Speaking of recent news, I saw a picture of the St. Louis Arch in Missouri. It's 630 feet tall.
Wow, that's huge. I heard they were calling it the world's tallest arch. Wow, that was a tasty dinner.
Thanks.
We should watch some of the Ed Sullivan Show.
I heard the Rolling Stones are on tonight.
Oh yeah.
The Ed Sullivan Show is just such a fun and popular show.
Here we go.
Here are the Rolling Stones.
The Rolling Stones are such a fun English rock band.
All their members are so talented. Brian Jones, Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, Bill Wyman, and Charlie Watts.
You forgot Ian Stewart. He's so good.
True, how could I forget him?
Ed Sullivan's done.
Oh, you know what I'm in the mood for? A post-dinner kitchen jam sesh!
ABC, easy as 1, 2, 3. All simple as do, re, mi. ABC, 1, 2, 3, baby.
It's getting late. We should go put Patrick and Caroline to bed.
Yeah, we should. Let's head upstairs.
Okay.
ABC, 1, 2, 3, baby, you and me, girl.
JFK. He was a great president. This didn't last long enough. 1,000 days wasn't enough. Oh, the movies. We would go to the movies every Sunday afternoon, sometimes the drive-in theater. Oh, it was piles of fun.
Ready for the movies!
I'm so ready. I love West Side Story and I haven't even seen it yet.
Oh my god. Wait, Mom, can we play some music? Of course, sweetheart.
Boys on the beach! Yes!
Love the Beach Boys, man. God, you know, I really just love Mike Love. He's definitely my favorite member of the
I like
band.
Brian Wilson. Yeah, they're a really popular band right now along with the Beatles.
Yeah, for sure. Good music, man.
Boys on the beach!
Moron! Hey, son, did you bring the snacks for the movie?
Oh, just you wait, Dad. I'm gonna be loaded with snacks.
Wait, what is West Side Story even about? Well, it's a musical that takes place in New York City, and it's like basically like Romeo and Juliet, except like modern day. So it's between like 2 street gangs, the Puerto Ricans and the Americans. It's really intense. Oh my goodness, it's so cloudy and rainy outside.
Here comes the sun.
This is Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles.
Here comes the sun, I say, here comes the sun.
Wait, Mom, can I go to the movies today movie too? No. You went last weekend and saw Mary Poppins, remember?
How'd you like Mary Poppins?
It was so good. I think we should really get like a nanny like Mary Poppins now. But they gave us these super awesome umbrellas at the movie
Sis,
theater.
what the hell?
Oh well, looks like we finally made it. Looks like
Yes, we're here.
Oh, buddy, your friends are over there.
Oh yeah, hey.
Have fun at West Side Story. We'll see you later.
I'm gonna have piles of fun.
Bye.
Thanks, fam.
All right, 4 tickets to West Side Story.
Alright, so there's a second, and there you guys are.
Perfect, thank you.
Would you like either Doritos or Pringles?
Hey, we'll take the Doritos.
Yes.
Alright, and here are your Doritos.
Thank you very much.
Dude, how ironic is this? We're going to see a Disney movie, and Disney invented Doritos in one of the restaurants in Casa de Fritos.
You know they repurposed tortillas there and became super popular?
So excited
So
for this movie. This movie's so good. So good.
Yes.
Wait,
West
West
Side
Side
Story,
Story, let's go. Oh man, the movie's starting.
Oh, did you bring the snacks?
Yeah, I had the snacks. Here you go.
Oh boy, I've been waiting to try this cheese for so long. I saw it in the fully colored advertisements that my mom brought home from work the other day. I'm pretty sure it was originally called Snack Mate though.
Wait, what is that?
This is Cool Whip. This was invented by General Foods and has a key advantage because it can be distributed while being frozen.
Oh my gosh, that
And
sounds awesome.
Tastes really good.
Oh, Maryland movies. JFK, it all comes together here. Her tragic death in 1962. Oh, the sex kitten, the sex symbol. But her life fell apart in the early 60s. Depressed, pills, lonely, and she dies. Like a candle in the wind. Oh, JFK's press conferences. National TV. Oh, he's quite a showman. But he had to deal with some pretty serious things. The Bay of Pigs right away, and then the Cuban Missile Crisis. The showdown with Khrushchev. Oh, those were tense and dangerous times in that Cold War.
Mr. President, can you tell us about the Berlin Wall?
Well, starting in August of this year, 1961, the Berlin Wall will be constructed. It will split Berlin in half, creating East Germany and West Germany.
Mr. President, why is the Berlin Wall being constructed?
Well, West Germany wants to be democratic like the United States, and East Germany will eventually become communist like the Soviet Union.
John, how do you feel about Russia sending Yuri Gagarin, the first human to fly in space?
Well, we will have a man on the moon by the end of the decade. I will be sure of it. Thank you all for coming. It looks like it's time to head back to the office.
Within the past week, unmistakable evidence has established the fact that a series of offensive missile sites is now in preparation on that imprisoned island. The purpose of these bases can be none other than to provide a nuclear strike capability against the Western Hemisphere.
There will be neither rest nor tranquility in America until the Negro is granted his citizenship rights. The whirlwinds of revolt will continue to shake the foundations of our nation until the bright day of justice emerges.
The biggest event of the 60s, JFK's assassination. I was in grade school. I remember coming home that afternoon after school, and there my family is, watching replays of the Ali Jones fight. And all of a sudden the news bulletin comes on, and the world changed in a flash. The whole country, the whole world was mourning for days and days after this. Nothing was the same again. No, nothing was the same.
Home from school. Hey, Rocky.
Good luck. And here we go with the scheduled 10-round bout. The second rank.
Oh my god, bro, it's Muhammad Ali.
Did you see that? Knock him out!
Oh my god.
Get him! Get him!
Come on,
Get him!
come on,
Get him!
come on.
Get him! Get him!
Oh my
Get him!
god.
Get him!
It's like, get him with the, yeah, get in there,
Come
yeah.
In Dallas, Texas, 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade in downtown Dallas. The first reports say that President Kennedy has been seriously wounded by this shooting.
Oh my god, Kennedy got shot.
What are we gonna do?
Dude, I have no idea.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out places.
I can't believe this happened. I don't know.
Unbelievable.
Dude, what the heck?
Who did this?
Why?
This happened. That's literally our president.
Look, look, look. It says Lee Harvey Oswald shot Kennedy.
This just in.
He's been shot. He's been shot. Lee Oswald has been shot.
Jack Ruby was the one who killed Lee Harvey Oswald.
Dude, he definitely did it because of Kennedy. He's a hero.
Are you kidding me? He's definitely a killer.
Oh, I remember. Kennedy's gone and LBJ is vice president. Suddenly becomes the president. He doesn't sound like JFK, he doesn't look like JFK. I remember he had big ears, but oh, the poor man, what he had to go through in that transition time.
Oh my gosh, I gotta get back to the White House. Honey, I'm home.
How was your day at the office?
It was pretty good, but stressful.
Honey, I picked up this new painting today.
Oh, is that pop art?
It is. It's Andy Warhol's new painting. I grabbed it from the art gallery downtown on my way home from knitting club with Nancy.
Oh my gosh, how lovely.
It's really different.
I just love how he provokes his viewers to think about his paintings in new and different ways.
For sure. And it adds a pop of color to our beautiful home.
So what's cooking tonight, babe?
So glad you asked, sweetie. When I was at the market today, Nancy told me about these beautiful new things called SpaghettiOs. They were invented by Donald Gowerk.
Perfect. Those sound delicious, sweetie.
They should be ready in 5, sweetheart. Want to see what I picked up at the mall today? Well, first, I picked up this adorable thing. I ran into my old friend, Mary Quaint. She's the designer of the brand new miniskirt. She said that she got her inspiration from young tap dancers. She designed it for young women who did not wish to resemble their mothers. I also picked up these super fun things. I've been noticing that Linda's been trying to break away from the super strict conservative fashion rules, so I got these super cheap and inexpensive pants for her.
Dang, those pants look so flowy. What are those called?
They're called bell bottoms. You want to see?
These are so nice.
And last but not least, I knew I had to treat myself, so I picked up one of these brand new neckerchiefs. You can style it like this, or on your neck, or around your head.
Like this?
Sure, honey.
Man, neckerchiefs have been so popular in this decade, along with the PVC clothing that's really booming. My assistant was wearing a PVC dress just today.
Oh, let's see, the SpaghettiOs are done.
Here you go. Thanks, babe. Do you want to watch a movie tonight?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Okay, we should probably go see what we have.
For sure. Babe, where'd you get this new blanket?
Oh, it's actually called tie-dye. It's this really fun new pattern. I bought it from some hippies on the side of the road expressing their opposition to the Vietnam War, but at least they were being non-violent and peaceful. All right, now back to the movie. How does The Sound of Music sound?
Perfect. I saw it with Nancy after knitting club last week.
Oh, what's The Sound of Music about?
Oh, it's about the troublesome Von Trapp family and their struggles during World War II.
Oh, sounds interesting.
All right, well, let's give it a go.
The hills are alive. have sung for 1,000 years. The hills fill my heart with the sound of music.
Wow, that movie was amazing. Yeah, I'm so glad it came out in color for the first time last week. It looks so much better. Man, it's getting pretty late. I wonder if the Ed Sullivan Show's on. Yeah. Man, the Beatles are just so good. Yeah, they really just don't have a bad song. Yeah. I mean, they got John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr. I know, they're all crazy talented. I just got this gut feeling that they're gonna be like the most influential band in history. Definitely. Oh look, there's one more segment on.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, live from New York, the Ed Sullivan Show.
So, the 60s had so much going on, but Bob Dylan captured the essence of those early days in the 60s. The times were changing. He had that album and protest songs about the Cold War and civil rights. We still listen to Dylan, don't we? Yeah, we do. He's still around. He's still changing the times a bit. There were great leaders in the 60s. The Cold War was part of it, but the civil rights movement. And everyone remembers Martin Luther King, but Malcolm X was very, very important too. And he was assassinated, but he's a forgotten assassination. It's unfortunate. He was more militant than Martin, but the two of them, they had the same cause. Yeah, same cause. Well, you know about Martin Luther King Jr. Got a national holiday now, but it was in 1964 the world paid attention to him. He won the Nobel Peace Prize, only 35 years old. But he was the Moses setting his people free, and the world took note of his courage and his nonviolent protests. Then the Vietnam War. I mean, the first half of the 60s were a lot like the 50s with Cold War and civil rights. But the Vietnam War, that changed everything. I mean, people supported it to begin with, but by the mid to late 60s was tearing the country apart.
The Vietnam War was an undeclared war in the areas of Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos that lasted from November 1st, 1955 to April 30th, 1975. This was part of the U.S.'s efforts to end the spread of communism internationally. However, it was unsuccessful, and South Vietnam was eventually taken over by Communist North Vietnam, and the U.S. withdrew troops from the area, making it one of the only wars the U.S. did not win. In 1968, a 10% surtax was imposed to help pay for this war, creating opposition to the war at home.
I remember the duck and cover. I think I was in grade school. We would do that, our civil offense drills, and so that was the Cold War. But nuclear war never happened. Instead, we had that war with Russia and China in Vietnam. That was kind of like the Cold War played out in that little foreign country. Yeah. But that scared the pants off us. Maybe more than Vietnam did, because this could have destroyed everybody. Vietnam was just in one country.
He's duck and cover, duck and cover.
I remember the day Thurgood Marshall was sworn in on the Supreme Court. What a day for America. Upset some, upset many really, but that was progress for civil rights when you have this black lawyer who gained fame in the courts back in the 1950s, suddenly now is on the highest court of all. Impressive. Marshall's induction, that was monumentous, but a huge change that affected every day the children's lives was when Fred Rogers went before the Congressional Committee, the Senate Committee, and convinced them to fund public television. So Mr. Rogers' neighborhood was in infancy, but that simple man turned the tide in Congress and got funding for good TV to finally come there for children.
Super Bowl. There was a first Super Bowl, and I was there. My friends gathered. Oh, we had a great party and cheered for the Packers. We didn't even know there'd be so many Super Bowls. It would be such a big deal. Heck, there weren't even good commercials for that Super Bowl one. But, oh, the Packers, they were great though. Bart Starr, Max McGee, they were wonderful.
It's amazing. The Olympics in '68 in Mexico City, so we could watch it live on television. And we even got to watch it in color. And some great performances. Bob Beamon in the long jump, and Dave Waddle, and then of course John Carlos and Tommy Smith and the Black Power salute. Oh, I loved that. It had caused controversy, but here you had athletes making political statements on that national and international stage. Oh, it upset many people. Oh, the Olympics in October took our minds off about the tragedies of back in the spring when Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in Memphis. Oh, riots broke out everywhere. This country was torn apart one more time. And then that funeral and that funeral procession. Oh, yeah, never forget it. I'll never forget where I was when I heard that news. Oh, look, LBJ and Lady Bird. What a name, Lady Bird. But she was wonderful. She was going to beautify America. Well, here they are on the way to a Democratic fundraiser. LBJ was very, very good at raising money, in dealing with money in politics.
All right, we're here at the Democratic fundraiser.
I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream.
There's Pat Nixon, much better looking than her husband. Well, Dick won the election in '68, so Pat had to get ready to move into the White House and bring her daughters along and try to keep things under control while her husband was kind of messing things up. You know, she was important to kind of maintain some stability in that household.
Oh boy, dinner's almost ready. Trisha, Julie, come set the table, please. Dinner's ready. Yes. Julie, we cannot have Lucky Charms for dinner.
But Mom, John Hallahan mixed Cheerios and marshmallows to make my favorite cereal.
Fine. Trisha!
I'm coming, sorry, I was reading.
What book are you reading?
It's called The Butter Battle Book by Dr. Seuss.
What? You know how controversial this book is? This is a children's book about war. Don't read this. This is a bad book. Read some chem.
Well, what's it about?
It's a story about the Ooks and the Zooks who live on opposite sides of a long curving wall, and it's a story that represents the Cold War and the nuclear arms race between the Soviet Union and us.
You should not be reading that book.
Why not? I want to read it!
You can't!
I want Lucky Charms!
Stop!
Honey, what was that? Who did you invite to dinner?
I was talking to Stacy at Pilates. She thought it'd be a good idea for her girls to come over.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I'm so excited for dinner!
Hey, thanks. So what's going on for dinner tonight?
SpaghettiOs, maybe?
What the HE double hockey sticks are you guys wearing?
It's for the first annual Woodstock.
Yeah, it's gonna be so Lit. Yeah, there's gonna be sex,
Drugs.
and rock and roll.
Oh, I heard about that. What's the lineup?
They've got Richie Havens,
Burnt Summer.
and even Tim Harden.
Oh my god, I love them.
Oh, that sounds so fun. We wanna go.
I don't know about that. There's gonna be drugs there. It doesn't sound too good to me.
But Mom.
Well, I guess we'll just hope no one dies or anything.
Well, of course, there's Woodstock at the end of the 60s. Drugs, sex, rock and roll, that's what people like to remember the 60s for, but they forget the space race, NASA. I mean, JFK said we're going to go to the moon. That was at the beginning of the decade, and by gosh, we made it at the very end of the decade. Yeah, that was a competition with Russia. We needed competition, I guess, to do something great. Yeah, that was a great triumph in our Cold War. We showed those Russians we were smarter than they were.
Time's running out. What are we gonna do?
Okay, we absolutely need to fulfill John F. Kennedy's promise to get a man on the moon by the end of the decade.
What do we have so far?
Back in '61, JFK asked Congress for a grant for $531 million to send the man on the moon. We had the money. We just gotta do it.
Well, we're behind. Russia already sent a woman into space in 1963.
Well, we still have Apollo 8, the USA's first human spaceflight to enter orbit around the moon. That was last year in '68. Well, we really need to get cracking then.
We gotta go.
Alright guys, the rocket's finally finished.
Yes.
Let's go look at the one that crazy.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Right, huge accomplishment. Alright, well, I guess it's ready for launch. Just probably head to mission control.
Let's
Alright, let's go. Okay, let's go. Get her going.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm going to step off the limb. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Throughout the turmoil and injustice of the 1960s, a new era of free-spirited culture was launched, bringing about social and political change that would reform the United States of America forever.
It's a great decade. Better than the 70s or the 80s or the 90s. So much happened. I bet you wish you could have lived in the 60s.
Yeah.
Well, as you wish.